Okay. Hey, as we continue our journey through the new season along with the Steelers, we're going to take a look at mock drafts. Not that the combine has finished. No, the combine's over, fellas. Some guys showed out, some guys didn't. Some guys need their pro day. We're going to try and figure out exactly who and what the Steelers are going to target. So everybody needs to listen in and make their predictions with us. Go ahead and send them to us via text, via a tweet, whatever you want to do. If you want to text us, you could text us at 301-792-5635, and you give us your draft. Put it in our Original Sports Podcast group. We don't care. We want to hear what you have to say. So let's start with this. What do you think the biggest needs are for the Pittsburgh Steelers? Go ahead, Gene.
I'm going to go with interior defensive linemen. After watching the Eagles dismantle the Chiefs from the inside out, and then seeing that article that Watt said, well, he didn't say it, but they said, he can't just do it by himself. He needs to push up the middle, and then that's when he can go crazy. Him and Highsmith can do what they do. You know what I mean? So I'm going to say defensive lineman.
Chops?
Numerous linemen.
Well, my first comment is going from Marshawn Lynch. I'm only here so I won't get fined. I'm the old curmudgeon, and I'm telling you guys flat out, and I'll get more into it why I hate the draft and all that. However, here's the thing, and I love Watt, but that sort of sounds like an excuse to me, and I say that because I've never heard Garrett, your boy in Cleveland, say that. Never heard you're supposed to be one of the greats. You didn't hear LT saying, you didn't hear his brother saying, well, I'm better because with the D line, you're out on an island out there. You're out there wide. So what if you're getting pushed? And technically, to me, if they're getting pushed up the middle, then that's great. But if they're not, if you're able to beat the tackle, what's it matter what the guys inside are doing? So I don't get that. But again, I love Watt, so I'll listen to what he's saying. He plays at a higher level than I play.
Yeah, but if that's to say it's Benton and I guess Hayward, those guys. If there's no push up the middle, that means you can put one guy on him, and then the other guys can go over here.
Yeah, at the end of the season, he was seeing double and triple team.
Well, yeah, but let's not forget, Sheen has said it quite often. Micah Parsons has said, and other people said it. He's not the best DN. He's not as great as everybody says. Now, I don't buy that. I look at his sacks, what he's getting, whatever have you. When he doesn't play, the Steelers don't win. But yeah, it would always help to get a better rush up the middle. We get that, but but that's the thing. I just don't think. But for seriously, fellas, when you talk about go ahead. No, by all means.
I was going to say, I think there are a couple factors you got to look at from that perspective. Number one, the Steelers are still playing an antiquated 3-5 defense and walking the outside guys up. They're putting big hogs in the middle to try and slow down the run game. They're not concerned that much with getting that much pressure from the nose in the sevens. Okay, so that's where they are mentally. We're just lucky Hayward gets a lot of single teams when he's pass rushing and he's able to beat those guys. And also, let me just say that a lot of teams will blitz guys, so you have to be accountable. If your back knows that you're never going to blitz, he can automatically work his way out to Watt, chip him, and go to the flat. I mean, that's a huge difference, and people don't get that. Remember when the Steelers used to blitz Vince Williams all the time? He'd come right up the gut. He'd come through the A-hole is where he'd go, the zero. And he would, the A-hole. But you know what I'm saying? Like
the A-gap.
Yeah, A-gap, yeah. But, he used to cause havoc, and they had to account for him with a back. We do not have that any longer.
That happened with a lot of those guys. Kirkland, all the way up to Timmons.
Okay.
Yeah. Even focus on that. You got to understand what you're saying, Chops. You're saying that, think of all our past pass rushers that were good, starting with Lloyd. I mean, they always had someone else around them. But they had guys that could, Casey Hampton, Steve. We had Aaron Smith, the most underrated guy ever. I don't know how.
Okay.
Them guys.
Who drafted those guys? Who was their head coach?
believe Cowher.
Yeah.
Say it again.
I believe Cowher.
Exactly. So again, and I'm going back to this. I'm only here so I don't get fined because I don't want to be a killjoy with the Steelers. But fellas, again, multiple O coordinators, multiple quarterbacks. The entire offense has been abysmal, right? Whether it's your wideout position, we're not seeing any production from them. So when you ask me, who do they need? It doesn't matter when the coaches are who the coaches are. Barber always says it. Tomlin plays in his fears. That's why it's like it's getting worse with me every year. I want to get hype. I want to talk trash to all these people. My Steelers fitting to run buckshot. My Steelers going to do this. My Steelers going to do that. And they say, yeah. But after wild card weekend, your Steelers are going to be home like us. That's what's hard. So it doesn't matter to me who they get. And everything we talk about tonight, I won't continue to say it. I'll try not to say it. But just know everything that I reply goes back to with these coaching staffs. Fellas, we know who we're going to get. And let's just say, for sake of argument, Tomlin gets everybody you'd want in the draft or even through free agency. Not that it's going to happen, but let's just say in the ideal world.
It's going to happen.
We know his coaching staff. We already know it, and we know what they do. Hell, Edelman said it. Edelman hasn't played since 2020. They're still doing the same shit. Mark Barber talked about it. You talked about it. How he runs a 3-5. Nobody even does that shit anymore. You know what I'm saying? There are very few teams. That's what's worrying me. That's why it's like I can't get passes anymore. I can't. So,
I agree with you 100%. The only one of us, in all fairness, and not to throw anybody under the bus at this point, but the only one of us that really is on board with Tomlin is Watson. And I don't know if he's on board with his coaching or he has, he wants to make a statement through Tomlin. I don't think his coaching is taking care of making a statement because
go ahead, Barbara. I'm sorry.
At this point, you can say that it comes down to the fact that he's an African-American head coach. I get it. He's a black head coach. I get it. But he's not a successful one. You can say he's successful because he goes 9-8, 10-7. Okay. You can say that, but that's not really successful. Okay. That's like watching paint dry. You see the same shit happening over and over and over.
And we all know the saying, it's not always about the X's and the O's. Sometimes it's the Jimmy and the Joes, right? Yeah. So having said that, knowing he lives in his fears, knowing his offense since Big Ben and a couple years even before Big Ben left, it was abysmal. Not doing, you know what I'm saying? So even if we know if he leaves the Steelers right now, he'll have a job offer before he gets to the parking lot. We know
that's okay.
But,
would you guys sleep at night if you knew Mike Tomlin left and he was coaching the Carolina Panthers? Would you sleep at night?
That's what I'm saying. My thing is, if he were to go right now to Kansas City, would he change what he does?
No.
No, he wouldn't change. He is who he is. He's not imaginative. So, and it's all going back to, I'm afraid to get hype anymore. I don't want to get hype because I've been getting kicked in the nuts for the last X amount of seasons. You know what I mean? Like Charlie Brown, they pulled the ball away from me.
Hey, a leopard doesn't change his spots, Chops. He's been in it 18 years, and you're getting the same production.
I know.
And like I said, and we're going to move on to the next question. But
fellas, good.
This all comes down to Rooney. That's who this comes down to. You can laugh at me. You could say what you want. Anybody out there listening could say, no, you're full of crap. But this all comes down to Rooney. And he's watching the same thing happen every year consistently. And he's saying something that he wants to see done, but the same old thing is done, and he does nothing about it but say it again at his next end of the season press conference.
Then I'll change my answer. Barbara said, what do the Steelers need to do the best? Get an established with some street cred, NFL cred, whatever you want to call it, an O coordinator that is not afraid to run his playbook. And then when he and Tomlin start butting heads because he wants to open it up, he wants to run crossing routes, then it's out in public. Then it is out. So-and-so who's been other organizations and had success, now he's coming to Pittsburgh and he's put in a box. Then that's what we have to have. Because when you hire Matt Canada, who wasn't doing anything, and the most successful season Ben had was under
Bruce Arians.
Yeah, Arians too, and Haley, but he did have a nice year under Haley, right? So, and you guys are like, and It is, and Ben wanted Haley gone. AB said he didn't like how Tomlin got rid of him. You know, I mean, that's I'd heard saw an interview. So that's what we need. I want an established offensive coordinator that we know has pedigree and performed. Then if he comes to Pittsburgh, let's see what happens. That's what I want.
This is the best question, or one of the best questions we've been asked in a long time. And Sheen put this down. Should we prioritize, like we used to in the Steeler organization, best player available with the first pick, or should we draft for need? Go ahead, Chops.
To me, I hate to say this, that's a toss 'em and pick 'em for me, because the best athlete, if you want best athlete, you got to be imaginative, because you realize you can use him in multiple ways, right? If you go with the need, you realize this cat is raw, but you realize we work with him, we'll get him better. We will get him better. I don't care if it was Manning when he first came out as in Peyton. You knew he'd be good, but you had to develop him as the coach did to make him better. Fella, go back to it. Tomlin doesn't develop talent. So for me, it's a pick 'em on what you do. Because if you go with the guy that's most athletic, where are you going to play him? How are you going to use him?
Well, since word is out that the Steelers are looking to sign Fields over Wilson, it's been on all day. I don't know if you guys have seen it.
Yeah.
But I think that now, because that's who, what's his name? Arthur. I think Arthur. That's
Arthur
who he
Smith.
wanted. He wanted Fields. So now maybe he's going to get to do what maybe this offense is going to be ran the way it should be ran. Also, today when they were showing us highlights, you know how we've been saying they don't throw over the middle? They showed a lot of highlights where Fields was throwing it over the middle. So I don't know what happened to that.
Okay, and my thing would be, and I'd have to see those like crossing routes or whatever, because anything when it comes to passing, anything that Fields could do passing, Russ can do better. Now, if you were talking about if these are passes where your boy was in the pocket or when he's rolling out, because if they're rolling out, I want to see what that original route was, or if these guys are coming over so now they're in his vision.
Well, what I seen was he was in the pocket. My thing with that is, though, like you said, he's a better, Russ is a better passer. Yeah, that's the same thing like with Jalen Hurts. But also in that last Ravens game when Russ was running and he got hit at like the 6 and fumble, yeah, Fields runs through that. Just so we know that he runs through that. He runs through that thigh hit. He runs right through that. To the
Listen, there's a big difference between 36 and 25, fellas.
Yes, it is. There is.
Fellas, here we know that, but here's my thing. If it was all year, we've been hearing reports that Arthur Smith wanted Fields the whole time. We were hearing going into the playoff game, they are putting in packages for Fields. Then Arthur Smith, who's at least earned the right to put in what he wants as an offense, he had some success, whatever have you, regardless of you think how he got it. He didn't get Fields. We didn't even see Fields in any of these packages in the playoffs. So now my thing is Tomlin realizing, okay, I don't know what I'm doing, so I'm gonna now go to you. I don't get it, because real talk, we all wanted
Tomlin gets cold feet when he gets on the field.
There you go. Not only that, I think it's also the scaryism. He's just a scary dude. He's scary. He's scary, man. I mean, what can I say? He's a scary guy.
Who?
Tomlin. He's scary, meaning he's afraid. Like, hey, I feel confident if I roll Russ out that, he's a veteran. I feel confident with that.
Real quick, because I know we got more questions. You know the old saying, the longer an owner has a dog, the dog and the owner start to look like each other. Do you think that Tomlin is now being more like Rooney, because Rooney's afraid to fire somebody because he doesn't want to pay him, or afraid to fire somebody? And they go, do you think now Tomlin is afraid?
That certainly wouldn't surprise me if that was the case.
What is it?
I wouldn't even bat an eyelash.
I don't know, man.
We've been going at this for about 10 weeks about Tomlin and his scaryisms. Let's move on to question 3.
Okay. Question 3 says, is there a chance that we might trade up or down in the draft? I'll tell you what, fellas.
It's history show, Barber.
History shows that the Steelers trade up, but they don't trade out of the first round pick if somebody that they really want is going to be there. If somebody they want is going to sit there. They also will trade up just a couple picks just to get somebody, because they did that with the kid who's our offensive left tackle. What's his name? Broderick Jones. They traded up. Yeah, they traded up
also to get Troy, or was Troy there? Didn't they trade up to get Troy?
They did trade up to get Troy. Yeah.
That was Cowher, but yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
So I mean, They're more likely.
I didn't know that, Chops, but go ahead. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I kind of did
Number
know
10.
that. But yeah.
I think they traded up to the 10th slot to get Troy, and they traded up around that high to get Ben.
And listen, that's the thing. Now, I do talk a lot of smack on Colbert, but I can tell you when he drafted Ben, like I told you, I was like, who the hell is this guy?
Yeah.
And again, Troy, I was like, who the hell is this guy? But
and honestly, the drafting Ben to me wasn't on talent. It was his work ethic, and Ben couldn't have been anywhere else but Pittsburgh. The way he played the game, the way he could extend the play, I don't think he'd have fit in anywhere else but Pittsburgh. But real quick, Barber, as you talk about that, they have moved up. But since we got to go with what Tomlin is, you are who you are. If he moves up, we have a small example, but if he moves up, does he move up and take the right guy?
Okay, I'm gonna give you a little insight from where I'm coming from, and I think you guys need to hang on to this one. They're going to draft a defensive tackle in the first round.
Yeah.
It's deep.
I agree with
that. Does he get the right one?
It's a deep draft, and he's not going to move anywhere in the first round because they're going to get the guy they want. And I'll tell you when we get to that point, but they want one particular guy, and this is the guy they're going to get. And then there's a guy who's going to be sitting there later in the draft that they're going to get as well. I know exactly who they're going after. I'm 100% sure that I know who they're going after.
Let me ask you this. If you know who it is, because I don't want you to tip your hand, spill the beans just yet, but if you know who it is, Barber, they're drafting what, 21?
Yes.
How many D tackles will go before him? And is this guy, in your mind, a true D1, round one talent?
He's definitely a round one talent. He has a great motor.
Fast.
He is fast. He's got a strong push up the field. The top three guys will go in front of him. The guys that are supposed to go in front of him will go in front of him. And then by the time they get to the Steelers, this guy will go.
Okay.
It's just this is where I'm thinking. Because, you know, the Steelers are notorious for taking D linemen in the first round. And you know something about that? They are always hit. The only guy, you know, most of the time they're hit. Huey Richardson was bad. Ziggy did okay. All right. Senor Sack, we don't know what he could have been. He had a great preseason in 84, Shane.
He had like 7, but didn't he have like 7 sacks going before that?
He was on fire.
And Mark's answer and reply is thrown out because you wouldn't mention all Tomlin or Cowher guys. We can't do that. We can't because you're right. Cowher hit. You can't do that. You know what I'm saying?
You know the other thing about that, Chops, is this. It's part of that coaching staff that he brings in that's not able to coach these guys up. How good do you now? I know this is a far-fetched thing, guys. I get this, okay? How good do you think Najee would have been with a real running back coach, with a real offensive line coach in front of him that would have developed those guys and ran an offensive blocking system that would have been conducive to Najee Harris?
Yes.
How good would the Steelers might have been? Now, I know you're going to say I'm crazy. How good might they have been? Because they were 10-7 with Kenny Pickett. If somebody would have actually came in and developed the kid a little bit, because they didn't develop him at all.
I just think a better O-line or better possibly blocking scheme. Because if you have two guys that make your all rookie team, that's pretty decent. That's
pretty great.
It is.
It would have been Fatanu also.
Yeah. We'll see, fellas. We'll see. So yeah, Mark, you're absolutely right. With a better O-line, because it would have been, and with a smarter, I hate to say smarter because I don't disrespect anybody's, football acumen, but maybe a smarter O-line coach that would have realized better blocking schemes that would, it might have helped Najee a lot. Because when you go down through it, there have been some busts from Alabama, but Alabama also put some running backs in the league. You know what I'm saying? They can run. When you come from the SEC, you can run. I have a running back, fellas, that I'm going to tell you I think would be a great fit for the Steelers, and he's going to be what is he? A third-round pick for us in my book. And this guy is legit. He's got size, and he has good speed. It's a younger version of what Najee could have been, not what Najee is. Okay, so
I think I can pick your board, Barber.
Okay, here we go. Number 4. does our scheme impact player selections, or does what we want to get out of a player impact the player selection? For example, are we drafting guys who are genuinely 4-3 guys up front, or are we drafting guys who are 3-4 guys up front and they can be plugged in and played?
I think we're drafting. Are we picking ends that can play outside?
Sheen.
Long arms. I thought that's what we were doing.
I told you what happened there. I told you they were doing that.
Yes.
One of the things I want to rewind 1 second talking about Tomlin. DeMarvin Leal was a top 10, I think it was, or top 5 pick his junior year. Yep. He got hurt his senior year. Mm-hmm. Okay. I think it was a knee or something like that. But he was picked by the Steelers in the 3rd round. Huh? What'd you say, Shops?
I'm back. I'm sorry. I'm listening to what you're saying, but I'm not. It's hard. Go ahead, man. Go ahead.
Okay. No, what I was going to say is if DeMarvin Leal was a top 5 pick back in his draft, his junior year, and the Steelers stole him in the 3rd round like they stole Peyton Wilson, why did DeMarvin Leal, after 3 years on the Steelers, not get developed? If he had the skill level, why is he not developed?
Well, I think they kept moving him around for one, and I don't know why they never just left him at outside linebacker from the giddy-up.
But Sheen, he put his hand in the dirt.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
Oh, okay, Mark.
Well, you mean in college?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well, first off, to answer your question, it was like, do they draft the guys that fit their needs, or do they draft guys they think they can work with? I'm going to say Tomlin draft guys he thinks he can work with because he moves guys on the O-line, whether it was Jones moving from one corner and Dan Moore ends up beating him out when Doxson couldn't get it done at O-line, whatever have you, he's doing that, right? Then you have guys that are not, you have them in 3-5, but if they're not big bodies, like you look at Dream mentioned the Eagles D tackles. Those guys are not fast. They are big and they're strong and they're pushing you right back, pushing you back. So the guy you're talking about, Mark, the guy that you're talking about, he's fast.
He's like,
I don't know how much his speed is going to matter if he's playing from tackle to tackle, because you don't have, I mean, unless they're doing a lot of, okay, the Steelers don't run a whole lot of, well, maybe they do, but I don't see them always, where they run a lot of, different schemes where a D tackle might take one step and then he's running around to the other side. You know what I mean? So I don't see where this guy's speed is going to matter, because he's still going to be inside the trenches. Now, if he was on the outside and he can come around, lower that shoulder and beat the tackle, speed. You know what I'm saying? Like Javon Curse had speed. I get that. But if he's an interior D lineman, I don't know where his speed is going to matter.
Okay. So from that perspective, Chops, why not put weight on these guys? Why not put muscle mass on them? Why not put weight on them? Why are you taking their skill level that they have and not? Oftentimes guys are drafted into the NFL, and I want to say they're underweight. And what they do is they work them hard, muscle mass and body mass, to get them ready. And I know the 2 kids from Georgia already came in. They were specimens, all right?
Yeah, true.
If you're going to go that route as the Steelers, you got to get these guys developed like that. You heard what they said about what's his name? The weight training coach.
He's terrible.
He stinks.
He's absolutely horrible. Guess who hired him?
Your boy. So Barbara, that goes back to putting weight on and getting them to do this and getting them to put it on correctly. Now, if you have a guy that, and I don't know what their weights are, but if you get a guy that's 220 and you want him to go to 240, that's going to take some time. Bottom line is that all comes again down to development. And if you can't develop players, you're not going to be able to get them, like I said, that are right size, the right muscle mass. You just don't see it. You don't. The biggest knock on Warren was he's not big enough. You know what I mean? Remember Lendell White when he played for the Titans and they told him you need to lose weight. So he came in like 20 pounds less and had a hell of a season. And he was, I had to cut out sugar. I had to do this. We haven't, can you remember any players that did that at any position? Had to, Snacks, Casey Hampton. He was big, but he could play that position and just bull rush. You know what I mean? Again, a cower guy. So there's a whole lot of things we as Steeler fans are used to and we have seen done, but just not under this regimen, this team. You know what I mean? So it makes sense, but if they haven't done it yet, I don't know how he can start now after 18 years, getting a guy to properly put on weight, we'll see. We'll see.
Sheen, do you think that they're just satisfied all the time when they go to the draft? They're like, yeah, that guy will fit our system. We'll bring him in. We'll show him how we do things. But they're not trying to develop the guy to be the best in that system.
Now, I know they can't be thinking that because they haven't developed anyone.
You're right.
I mean, I'm serious. Like, hey, we're gonna bring this guy in, and he plays linebacker, but we're gonna move him outside. I mean, I think back to when, like I said, when Harrison first showed up, and I think it was one of those guys was an outside backer, but they moved. I think Timmons was an outside, that they moved the inside. Like they molded, I guess, again, cowering him, coached him up to play inside as opposed to outside. But I can't see that because
Herbig was an inside guy.
Who?
Nick Herbig.
Okay, yeah,
he was an inside guy at Wisconsin.
Here's the thing, though, big dog.
That's the only one we get then.
It's a little different for the Steelers' defense than the offense, and I say that now, if you had the Steelers' offense years ago, and I know it's going decades, when you whether it was Webster or whether you had some like DeMonte Dawson. I mean, because the O-line for the Steelers used to be nasty. Now the nasty side for the Steelers is on the defense. So if you're Herbig, if you're used to being an inside guy and they move you to the outside, the other minds on that defense, regardless of what it is, it's the mysterious that you've got Watt and everything that he brings, and the aura of him, the aura of Haywood, the aura of Minka. Your mindset has to be rough if you're going to play on defense. So regardless if they move you on defense, you'll still be able to get it done.
I agree with you, but I still don't think they're tough enough on defense. I don't see that dog.
Not anymore. Not anymore.
I don't see that dog.
Not anymore.
It's too much coddling.
It's not what he used to be, but because they were getting their asses kicked the last few weeks.
Yeah, Roberts will smack you if you give him a lane to run up and hit you. Now he don't got a lane because they're all by the time he comes.
Defensive tackles that demand a double team.
Yeah. It just bothers me, Mark, that do you realize the Eagles, and screw the Eagles, you've seen multiple teams, that when their personnel changes, their play calling will change, their offense will change to some degree. You know what I mean? And even though they've got A.J. Brown, they've got, what is his name, the other young skinny cat in Philly. They've got
Devontae Smith.
Devontae. A.J. Brown, they got a nice receiver, but their quarterback is not meant and built to throw for 300 yards a game. So that offensive change has changed to where now they will roll out, and if they can get 200 yards, 215 yards from him, and no INTs, they're happy with that because the offense is changing. But our guys aren't working around the scheme, so that's why I'm like, it doesn't matter to me who they get because they're not developing them.
It's going to change with Fields as the quarterback all year. You heard it here first, Chops.
It has to.
Chops.
It has to.
Chops, have faith. You heard it here.
You believe the sun is going to rise tomorrow because it has so many times in the past. Big dog, we've seen multiple QBs, multiple QBs. And let's not forget, we said it last year with Pickett and coming into this year. If he, as in Tomlin, can't get a win in the playoffs, what else do we need? This was a great roster. Now, Fatanu getting hurt, but you also had another guy make the offensive rookie team that we didn't expect.
Yeah, but you could run on us like nothing, Chops. Like the Ravens weren't the only team that ran on us.
That's what I'm saying. We had on defense who we wanted. Mostly got whatever. We didn't. Big dog, did you realize if the Steelers would have had real big, like if they'd have had the issues on defense that the Lions dealt with, do you think they'd have been able to have even 10 wins if they'd had to deal with on defense what the Lions dealt with? No. And that comes to coaching. So I want to believe I want to believe it'll be different. But you know how many times I talk mad junk in the office and then go in and get smacked when they
You
get,
can
and I'm
talk it up.
crying.
Listen, this offseason, I want you to talk it up because listen, it's going to work. We have Martavius Adams and Okunjobi. Come on, man.
They're
Trust
both
me.
Okay.
good. Hey,
Let's hope.
Sheen, who should the Steelers take first pick? What position should the Steelers draft first pick?
A lot of this plays into free agency. Now, if they can get Chris Godwin in free agency, then you go D-line. If you don't get – what's wrong, Chops?
Go ahead.
If you don't – you done sat up all up on me. If you don't get Chris Godwin – I mean, if you get Chris Godwin, you get a D-lineman. If you don't get Chris Godwin, you got to kind of – I think you got to go receiver unless you can get a good one in the second. Can I give you my first pick right here?
No.
Okay.
No, we're getting there.
Okay.
2 more questions.
Okay.
Pops, what position you draft in first round?
I don't honestly. I don't even know because I will say free agency matters because I'd like to. I don't know
It
because
does.
even Dream talks about if we can get Godwin. Okay, so now you have decent receivers because his attitude is crazy. But your boy Pickens is nice. Pickens is nice. His attitude is terrible, but he's a nice receiver. So you'd have a nice receiver. I think Muth is strong. So you have good wideouts, a 1 and 2, and saying you get Godwin. You have
Those
a
are
nice
both
1
ones. Those are both ones, by the way. So go ahead.
True, but you have a nice 1 and 2, right?
Yep.
You have a hell of a tight end.
Yes,
Hopefully Wilson comes back or Austin steps up his game. So now you got a nice slot, right? So now you have a nice slot. But the Steelers don't develop talent. We didn't see much from Fields in his first 3-4 years in Chicago. We haven't seen him become much better passer. The offense is basic. So that's what is holding me back from being hype about if they, even if you get a great wide receiver, the quarterback can't get him the ball. What are we doing?
You already said it, Chops. You already said it. You said, what did you say there? I didn't forget what it was I was going to say. Jeez, but you said it earlier. Listen, with Fields. Oh, when you mentioned Jalen Hurts, we've talked about Fields. So again, I'm going to ask you both: what can Jalen Hurts do that Fields can't?
Nothing.
Besides, he's a better passer. I'm going to say that off the rip. But like you said, he might throw for 150, 200, no touchdowns, no picks, and run for 3 touchdowns.
Who's a better passer? Who's a better passer?
Hurts.
Okay. I'm not going to put money on Hurts is a better passer than Fields because I don't know that. All I know is Hurts coaching staff does him more favors than Fields coaching staff because I don't think Hurts is a better athlete than Fields. I don't think he's a better athlete.
I think Fields is a better athlete than him.
But his, as in Hurts, offense in the playbook helps him tremendously. Fellas, think about this. If Hurts gets 200 yards passing, he's good. You can't win with that. You shouldn't be able to.
You can if your running back bucks. Right, but he's $1.75.
And he might run for 2 touchdowns.
Yeah. Which everything he does, Fields can do, except that offense is a little more imaginative, and they get it done. The O-line.
Here's the difference: it's not about it being imaginative. It's about taking the tools that you have and using those tools to scheme up how to win with those tools.
You have to have an imagination to scheme properly to some degree.
To some degree.
You know what I'm saying? Remember, real quick, big dog. Remember when Brown and Hurst were beefing, and then they play the Steelers, and they make sure they get him the ball there, whether it's designing plays, whether it's just throwing them out routes, whatever. They made sure your boy Brown was eating, so he wouldn't be. He's a starter offense, whatever have you. Even though you had Saquon, you wanted to make sure your number one was happy. Steelers didn't do any of that for Pickens. Didn't do any of it. I mean, again, Pickens doesn't really get open, but I don't know, man. I'm again, come opening day, I'm going to be there. Season opener, I'm not going to be there, but I'll be watching. I'm going to watch every game again.
I know you're going to be.
But I'm not getting my hopes up, big dog. I can't because Tomlin has showed me too much who he is, what he is.
I'm not reading into all the hype that they get from camp. I'm not looking at, we drafted this guy in the 4th round. He had a 1st-round grade. He did this, and this. No, show me. Show me how he's going to fit in. Show me how you're going to work this guy in to make him look like a 1st-rounder when you pick him up in the 4th round. Don't let him sit and flirt. Hey, look what they did to Roman Wilson this year. I mean, I'm not saying that dude was a super stud at receiver, but shit, he was hurt. He came back. All of a sudden, he's hurt again. He sits out most of the season. He could have came back for, I think, 4 of the 5 game stretch and the playoff. Mm-hmm. They didn't do anything with him. They just deactivated him. They did, whatever.
Yeah.
That's that. Okay. By the way, my first round pick is a D tackle just because I think they're going to go there and they got to strengthen that run game up. They already spend way too much money on defense, fellas. Way too much money on defense.
Well, one of those guys gets let go, right? Is it Adams or Ogunjobi, and it saves us quite a bit of money. Ogunjobi.
Probably both. Ogunjobi, definitely. But Adams might too. Adam makes like $2 million. So hey, do you think the Fields is the long-term answer, or do we play him? If he does well, then you look at it, you look at him as the long-term answer. If he's not doing well, you start thinking about drafting somebody in 26.
Go ahead, Dream.
I would say he's not the long-term. I say we draft one this year and we try to develop him. But again, can we develop him? I mean, I'm expecting big things from Fields this year. I just want to put that out there right now.
Big Dog, the fact that he's becoming a better passer, but still a better runner than passer. The Ravens' offense is nasty with Lamar, and you still worry about his legs more than you do his arm. Your boy, Hurst, has been to two Super Bowls, and he already has a Super Bowl win, right? Your boy Stroud is not considered a passer like Allen. He's not considered a pure, beautiful passer, but the offense helps him with what he can do because he's not a big guy, what he can do. Until the offense helps Fields, they're never going to look at him as the long term. I hate to say it, but I would love to see something happen where if Fields goes right now to the Eagles, they don't fall off at QB because of what their offense is. So
they can do the exact same things with him that they're doing with Hurts.
Exactly. But so what I'm saying is they would say in Pittsburgh, Fields is not the answer because it's the tutelage he's getting or not getting. So I think Fields very well can be your future, but he needs help. Let's think about it. I don't care who the quarterback was. We've all heard say he's a good quarterback, but he needs help. He needs some weapons. Same thing for Fields. Now I'm really hoping to see with your 2 linemen of rookie of the year. Now their second year. Fonatana comes back. It's still a young line. But I think if they tell your boy Fields, go through your 1 and 2, your 1 and 2 reads. If 1 and 2 isn't there, drop it and run it. I don't care if you're only getting 2 or 3 yards. 2, 3 of those put you in a 3rd and 2, 3rd and 3. That's manageable. Because and I think they need to let Fields be himself. But I do think Fields can be the long-term answer because quarterbacks that are not great passers, but with great coaching staff and some weapons around them have shown they can do things.
Okay, check this out. Do you think that when Tomlin decided he wanted to go with Russ, that's when the dissension began with Russ and Arthur Smith, and it just kind of boiled over as the season went along because he wanted Fields all the time anyway. He wanted to run with Fields. He wanted to do things with Fields. He was creative with Fields. Basically, the only time Russ was really good, those first handful of games he came in, was at the start of it. Once they start stripping some of the power away from him because he wasn't getting it done, is when Russ fell apart. But and to add to what I'm saying there, Arthur Smith is not the kind of coach that we know of that uses a running quarterback, because that's not what Tannehill was when he was successful. Okay. He was more like Russell Wilson is.
Yeah.
Much more like. I don't understand. I just don't understand what's going on there. I think there's a lot of confusion. I think there's a lot of frustration in the office. I think that you've let somebody, you got guys festering who are, just been around too long and they want their own way now. And the head coach He's just been there too long. I don't mind the guy, but he's been in Pittsburgh too long. I think once a head coach gets a controlling power of a team, which I think Tomlin really has a lot of power, I think once that happens, then the team is sacrificing growth, development, and success. Because 9-8 and 10-7 ain't success, fellas.
No, fellas, here's the thing. When you see Doxson leave, and what was it, 1-2 years he's in LA, and now he's making big money, and they like what he's doing, and he's getting accolades from other teams. He's the man. That speaks volumes to me. When you have other guys that just aren't developing in Pittsburgh, where none of the teams are, and fellas, you take as much time as you need, and we can talk about it in weeks from now. Look at the quarterbacks, multiple OCs. The offense has been the same. I know I personally was claiming and being mad at Mason Rudolph for doing check down, throwing 2-3 yard ins, 2-3 yard outs, throwing screens, and that was it. All his passes were 3 to 4 yards within the line of scrimmage. But then when that was with Duck, then that was with Trubisky, then that was with all the guys. That's not the quarterback. That's not the same OC. That has to fall back on the head coach, fellas. It has to. Because the only thing that stayed the same is the QB. The head coach. So I'm expecting the same no matter who we get. And let me ask you this. If we hypothetically, because they have been, now it's long gone now, I'm assuming, but was tied there to a Trevor Lawrence, tied there again to an Aaron Rodgers. If you get somebody who's like that, a pure passer, and the offense looks abysmal, he's not getting a chance to go to a second or third read, then who do we blame? You know what I mean? That's what I'm saying. Because right now, and I mean no disrespect, I think Tomlin continues to take guys that are looked at as mediocre or so-so at best. So when his records are so-so, look at what he's been working with. Because think about it, you hear that all the time. Tomlin went 10-7 with no talent. Tomlin chose those guys. Tomlin brings those guys in. Think about it, fellas. I always said I didn't think they were going to bring in Russ and Fields because Tomlin never brings in big names. It's easier to stay 500 or 1 or 2 games barely having a winning season when you continue to choose so-so talent. And I'm being honest with that. I thought about that. He doesn't bring in any big names. Why is that? He doesn't bring in any. There's always
any challenging coaches either because he doesn't want tested.
There you go. There you go. And I hate to be that way, but at some point, it is what it is, fellas.
All right, the Steelers have 8 picks, round 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 3 in the 7th going into this draft. We're going to stick with that. We're not even going to trade out of anything. Their needs based on what is projected. Defensive line, running back, wide receiver, quarterback, and cornerback. Not necessarily in that order. Okay? Not necessarily in that order. So let's start with you, Sheen. Who's your first pick in the first round?
Kenneth Grant, Michigan.
Is that who you were going, Barber?
Yeah. I got a sign right there.
I told you. Nobody argues more than you two, and y'all are like freaking brothers.
I told you we're like brothers.
Yes, that's why it's like, okay, they're back at it again. They're back at it. So I tell you, Matt, you know me. I don't even have a first round pick. So you guys. But let me ask you, Graham. And no disrespect, Graham is the black dude for Grant. He's the black dude on the D line in Michigan.
Yeah,
because there's also a white cat too that he's been getting his numbers.
Yes. Yep. He's going to go before Grant. Maybe.
Do you Do both of you guys have He's going before Grant.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Do both of you guys have?
He's lighter Grant? In the ass, and he can play on the edge.
Okay. Do both of you guys have Grant day one starter?
I do.
Yes.
I do.
Okay.
Yep.
Perhaps you got to check this Grant out, man. There's plays where the running back is down the field and Grant's chasing him.
And I know him. Yeah.
He's 300. He's
30
like
pounds.
Yeah, he's huge, and he runs like a deer.
Yeah.
a fat deer, but he runs like a damn deer.
Okay,
All right.
okay. But where he comes, what they do with him is going to be crucial. Let's go. We'll see.
All right. Second round, Sheen. What are you liking?
So for me, this is dependent on, again, free agency. But I'm gonna go with Trey Harris, Ole Miss.
Oh, interesting. Interesting.
Or Judkins, Ohio State, depending on what we get, free agency wise.
Yeah. Well, I think you guys are going to be a little remiss with me, but I'm going to go Jackson Dart, quarterback from Ole Miss.
That's early.
He's going to go early. He might be the third quarterback off the board. That's what scares me.
Okay.
You got to take a flyer on a quarterback. You got to. Yeah. Yeah. You have to. Because even if you sign Fields, you still got to sign a 2 and a 3. Skylar Thompson is not playing on this team. He's just a camp arm.
Mark, you're absolutely right. But again, I don't even go back to coaching, but you look at like Baker Mayfield, who's finally a starter, but he's getting a chance, or Darnold, who the guy in front of him got hurt and he was able to come in. But he had those weapons. The offense adjusted a little bit, but he had the weapons to help him. Dart, I don't know, man. Again, it's interesting to see. We'll see what these guys do in the league.
Did you see pro day throws or any of his combine stuff?
No.
Go peep it. Just go peep it. He's legit. Go peep it. I like him. I saw him play in person. I liked what he did on the field, and I like what he did on the sidelines. I like what he did both places. And one of the things I went and looked at about him was his hand size. Because yeah. Third round, Sheen, what are you looking at?
A cornerback. Darian Porter.
Interesting.
Iowa State.
Fella, real quick. Would either one of you, like I said, I like Slay. I don't know what his, because the Eagles release him. I don't know what his price tag is. However,
Detroit.
Do you guys think it would be beneficial to bring in, with the young corners the Steelers have, do you think it'd be beneficial to bring in a veteran corner? Maybe someone that could start opposite side of Porter Jr., or at least someone who, you're not a starter, but you're a great fill-in, but you can help these guys with some techniques that they're not like. Fellas, this is Porter's this was his second year, and I love his aggressiveness. But at some point, you got to learn to get back off these DPIs.
Two things off of that. Two things off of what you said. Number one, we play way too much zone defense. Way too much. We're off the ball 10, 12, 15 yards. That gives too much cushion.
Yeah.
That forces you, when you're playing man-to-man, down the field, playing thirds, playing quarters, whatever, and you're running down the field, that forces you to be more aggressive than you should have been. If you're playing more man, you know how to play more with that guy when you're going down the field one-on-one. You understand what I mean? Like, there are more reps if you're playing man, and if you have to play a man in a zone coverage. I don't know if I'm saying that right. Am I saying that right, Sheen?
Yes. And to add to that, when we are in man, there's some things that I don't understand. Like when they say, like, "Oh, Joey Porter Jr. he's not good." Like, he doesn't know where the guy's going. Like, people are acting like he knows the route. Like, he don't know where he's going.
True, right. But maybe a veteran.
It's not easy to play man to man. It's not.
Yeah, but true, maybe. But a veteran that has been in the game can possibly teach him techniques that. Oh, yeah. If you want to take his outside shoulder, he's got to fight through you to get inside or outside, which could lead to an offensive pass interference, which the coaches he's getting now, it's not helping.
Okay, so here's the only issue with it. I don't want to bring in a veteran defensive back and make him a starter. We tried that with Joe Hayden. He was trash. We tried that with Patrick Peterson. He was okay, Hayden was all right. Okay, yeah, the first year or so. Yeah. But that's all you got out of him. Patrick Peterson, he never panned out. He played 1 year for the Steelers. If you're going to bring in a guy, it's got to be under the understanding that you're coming in to help with development of these guys. We're going to get you on the field as the number 3 corner, but these are our starters, and we just want you to know that up front. Now, if you happen to beat a starter out, that's a different story. I would much rather, Chops, put some money into a 27-year-old corner or 28-year-old corner that I know is going to take that contract and roll with it, then
real quick, fellas, let me ask you this. Peterson, were you surprised how much his play fell off from where he was on other teams when he got to Pittsburgh? Because I thought he wasn't the same corner he was years ago in Minnesota and all that. We were Arizona, but the way his play fell off in Pittsburgh, do you see that, or a player's play just falls off, or is that coaching?
I think that's coaching.
Schemes.
I'll be honest with you. I think that's coaching.
In schemes,
I do.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Mark. I don't know.
All right, let's move on. Third round, you took a corner. I'm taking. Ready for this? Ollie Gordon, running back, Oklahoma State.
Okay.
Big boy, runs downhill, has good ability. He can pass block. He had big yards for a guy playing in the Big 12. That's all I'm going to say.
There's no defense in the Big 12.
Well, there's no passing defense.
No pass defense.
Yeah, there's no passing defense.
Does he have a little make you miss, or is he like a Mike Allstott or a Tommy Verdell?
No, he's got good vision. He's got real good vision, and he's a one cut and downhill kind of guy who's going to lower the pads and go forward. So, all right, fourth round, Sheen, who you got?
I went with Will Howard, but I don't know. Will Howard,
unless he has a great pro day.
I just don't think he has the wheels. I don't think he has the wheels, because you're going to need a quarterback that can run a little bit. The short passes won't be an issue for him.
He ran a little bit at Kansas State.
Yeah, but less at Ohio State. Go ahead. Good. I don't want to keep us up. Go ahead.
All right. So next I have, you're going to love this, fellas, Nick Nash, who led the nation in receiving. He was he came out of the woodwork like nobody expected this from him. He led the country in receiving out of San Jose State. 6'2", 204. He ran a 4.57.
Oh gosh.
4.5?
Yeah.
I don't like that.
Okay.
Well, as a number two, and he's tall. He's got length.
Listen, he's your go-to guy, though. He's your steady catch guy.
Okay.
You know, where you have Pickens, who's going to make the plays downfield. This guy's going to be your reliable guy.
Okay. All right.
That's just my school of thought. You know, he can catch a lot of balls. We know that just because he led the country in receiving. He had a great year. He came out of nowhere. Out of absolutely nowhere. So, all right. That takes us to the fifth round, Sheen. Who you got?
Jackson Slater, guard, Sacramento State.
Oh, nice pick. Nice pick. I went with nose tackle out of Texas, Alfred Collins. Hey,
Collins size.
6'6", 332 pounds. You ready for this, Chops? This mug runs a 4.95.
That's picking him up, putting him down. That's picking him up. But if he's 6'6", 3 something, we don't need your speed. They need to teach him to truly be Casey Hampton.
Oh,
they need it. Yeah.
All right.
Have that boy watch the Eagles.
First pick in the seventh round.
I went back to D-line. Ty Robinson, Nebraska.
Okay. I like that kid.
Dream is determined to get this D-line solidified.
Yeah, I'm with him too. I'm with them too. Hey, I went back to receiver, and I went to receiver U. I went to LSU. I took Kieran Lacey.
Oh, Lacey.
6'2", 213. He runs a 4.52 though.
Okay, you going for it? Okay. All right.
I'm not looking for guys with that exceptional speed. I'm looking for guys who can catch the damn ball.
Run the tree.
You got to have good route runners. Have to, because not a lot. Hopefully, these guys
preach tree.
Nash and Lacey guys both run a good tree.
Okay.
Sheen, your second pick in the seventh.
Harlan Pierce, tackle, Rutgers.
Oh, that dude is good. I went Jason Marshall Jr., corner from Florida, 6 foot, 194. My only qualm is he runs a 4.49 though.
Yeah.
But he's ready to play though. He's ready to play.
A good veteran teaches him technique so he can maybe make up for that 4.4.
Yep.
All right.
100%.
Next.
And the last pick in the 7th round, Sheen. Who you got?
Brew McCrory, wide receiver, Tennessee.
Nice. Hey, you can't go wrong with a Tennessee receiver either. My last pick is Jack Nelson, offensive tackle from Wisconsin, 6'7", 314.
Woo.
He's coming in like a Mason McCormick, this guy. Okay, he's coming in like a Mason McCormick, where he's going to be able to fill in a tackle if Broderick Jones falls flat on his face and be a starter the next year. That's where we're going with this guy, this Jack Nelson. Fellas, it was a fun show.
Yes.
Make sure you join us next week on Terrible Talk. Where are we headed with next week's show? Oh, I know where we're headed with next week's show, fellas. We're headed to free agency.
Ooh,
That's where we're headed.
I like it.
So we can't wait to talk about it, share it with you. Hopefully Chops is able to join us.
Hey, I got a question. Y'all ready?
Yeah.
The only Steeler to win NFL MVP.
Oh, man.
There's only been one, believe it or not. That's crazy.
Joe Green.
No.
That's what I was thinking.
No, next. Oh, you thinking Joe Green too?
I did. I was thinking.
Terry Bradshaw.
Oh.
What year?
1978.
78.
Led the Steelers to a 14-2 record and a Super Bowl. Threw for a league-leading 28 touchdowns.
That's crazy. That's crazy. So, you can say what you want, and I don't do it because I don't want to just bog down our text thread. But when I get on some of these social medias and I'm coming across old Steeler footage from the 90s or the 70s or the 80s, whether it's Bradshaw, whether it's your boy Ben when he started out, or even Cordell Slash, those games get me hyped, dog. I mean, that's Steve. You could have robbed City Hall on those Sundays when the Steelers played. Everybody was watching the game.
Oh yeah,
everybody.
Oh, and there was nobody rooted for anybody else. You rooted for Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
For somebody else. You lived in Pittsburgh. You probably got jumped. Jumped. Hey, check us all out on social media. You can find us anywhere. Check out our website. It is getting upgraded constantly. originalsportspodcast.com. You can go to our Libsyn link and you can find all our social medias as well as our Twitch connection. And you can rewatch this show on Sunday night on Roku, National Streaming Sports from 6 to 7. Fellas, have a great evening. I'll talk to you real soon now.
Holla.